All right, Congresswoman, talk to us about the event tonight and what you plan for the future.
So tonight I relaunched my congressional campaign, so I'm running for re-election officially. The primary is in 11 months, and in November, a year from this November, will be the general election. And I am working really hard to make sure that voters know about the work that we've done, the resources we've brought home, and to make sure also that I support great candidates along the way. I highlighted some of our great school board candidates. Public education is under attack, so I wanted to make sure to uplift their work and their efforts. But ultimately, there's everywhere I go in the community, people are feeling tremendous anxiety, tremendous fear. We're seeing attacks on our institutions, attacks on the federal workforce, attacks on vulnerable communities. We're seeing a president ignoring the law, ignoring the courts, ignoring the Constitution. This is a crisis moment for our country. I'm honored to serve, and I'm ready to run again.
Do you have any comments on RFK's comment on autism? What he said?
We have seen, unfortunately, within the MAGA movement, a disregard for science, and it has been absolutely proven, not just by scientists in the U.S., but scientists in other countries, that vaccines do not cause autism. We're seeing an increase in autism, but the researchers have also said it's because more physicians are diagnosing. When you think back, sorry, I've got a little itch in my throat. Let me get some water. Can you ask him for some water with no ice? Sorry. When people like RFK Jr. make totally erroneous statements, the ripple effect and the consequences of that is that folks listen to him. And we've seen our vaccination rates decline, and now we are seeing an outbreak of the measles. And vaccines are safe, they've been proven safe, they've been proven effective. We need to trust the science, and we need to better understand it. But one of the reasons why we're seeing more diagnoses generally of autism is because more physicians are diagnosing it. They're now better equipped. When we think about our parents' generation, physicians weren't testing for autism, so it's no wonder the rates were low. It is now something that is commonly tested for, and that more and more teachers and parents and physicians are keeping an eye out. But because of incredibly irresponsible people like RFK Jr. and frankly Donald Trump, who's elevated and promoted him and made him a part of his cabinet, we are seeing more and more people resist safe vaccines, and measles are now on the rise.
There's some local or organizations or groups who are using funds to help migrants.
There are some what?
Some groups, groups that are helping local migrants. Mm-hmm. They're using funds, or some already terminated. What are you going to do in order to avoid losing more funds?
Yeah, our community for decades has been a support to people who have arrived at our nation's front door. We have organizations, for example, like Annunciation House. They celebrated their 40th anniversary last year. So obviously this has been a long-standing, ongoing issue. This is the border. But they have largely depended on volunteers and on donations. Last administration, under the Biden administration, I worked with Congress in order to make sure that organizations, local governments, nonprofits who were providing the federal government with this support and assistance were reimbursed so that local taxpayers and the local community wouldn't foot the bill. That's gone away. Now we are seeing numbers of crossers at historic lows. So right now there really is not a population to serve per se, but we also know this is cyclical, and we've seen numbers drop, we've seen numbers increase. We don't know what the future holds. It depends on the president's relationship with Mexico, because frankly, a lot of the success is a result of what Mexico is doing. A lot of President Trump's success on migration is what Mexico is doing. So it could change at any time. But what unfortunately is no longer available is the federal support to ensure local governments don't fail.
And then also it's playing a big role on the immigration policy. What actions are you planning to take regarding the deportation out of El Paso area?
Using our military installations for mass deportations should be unacceptable to everyone. And in fact, it should be most unacceptable to supporters of the military because it degrades our readiness, it degrades our personnel, it takes their focus off their mission, and we need our U.S. military focused on their job and their mission, not being an enforcement arm of the Trump administration. The administration is also using Pentagon funds to fund a lot of this, using Department of Defense funds to fund a lot of that. All of that puts our national security at risk. It's wrong, it's inhumane, it's ineffective, and everyone should speak out against it. I certainly have.
Invite everybody to vote.
That's right. So we've got elections coming up next month. Frequently, our turnout is pretty low. And some of the most important races are our school board races. These are the most local of all elections. These are the people who have a say over the future of public education. Get informed. Make sure that as a voter, you know which district you're in. You can find that out on the El Paso County Elections Office website. Find out who the candidates are. Find out what their platforms are. And vote. Early voting starts on Tuesday. Please be a part of the solution.